Measurement Lesson 3, looking at conversions within the metric system. So to start off, let's do a quick review of multiplying and dividing by 10 or by powers of 10. And the powers of 10 are 100, 1,000, etc. If you think of 10 squared, 10 to the power of 3, 10 to the power of 4, etc. We can multiply and divide by 10 and the powers of 10 by just moving the decimal place. So for instance, 21.5 times 100, we can just write the original number, and if we're multiplying, we're going to actually move the decimal place to the right because we're making it into a larger number. And so add a few zeros, as many as you think you might need, and you might need to add more. And this is 10 squared, or 10 to the power of 2. So we're moving the original decimal place over 2 spaces. So the new decimal place will be here. So we get 2,150 when we multiply by 100. If we divide, we're actually moving the decimal place left to a smaller number. So write out your original question. The original decimal place in a whole number is to the right of the last number, so you can put a decimal place in. And because we're dividing by 10 to the power of 3, notice how many zeros are on the 1,000. I'm going to add an extra couple of zeros to the left, and I'm going to move that decimal place 1, 2, 3 places. There's where the decimal place will be, so we end up with 0.015. Dividing by 10, we're moving left and just one space, so we end up with, I'm going to just do it right on the question here, I'm just moving the decimal place over 1, so our answer is 0.002. Okay, add zeros. When you have a number that's less than 1, do put a 0 before the decimal place. It's a good habit to get into. All right, so you'll see a chart like this in your book, and you'll see actually 3 of them, one for meters, one for grams, and one for liters as the central value. But the charts, all 3 charts are really the same. And notice that the central step is your main unit, so we're looking at length or distance here. So meters is the central part of this. And then going down, so a tenth of a meter is a decimeter, a tenth of a decimeter is a centimeter, a tenth of a centimeter is a millimeter. If we move upwards, 10 meters is a decameter, 10 decameters is a hectometer, and 10 hectometers is a kilometer or a kilometer. So whenever we are converting from one metric unit to another, we either multiply by 10 if we're going down to a smaller unit, or we divide by 10 if we're moving up the staircase to a larger unit. You may find it, rather than flipping back and forth on this chart, if you find it difficult to memorize, it may be useful to write it out onto a cue card so that you have it handy. So to do these conversions, looking at example 1 here, step A, we're looking at 7 centimeters to meters. So we're starting, I'm going to just change colors here a second, we're going from centimeters up to meters, and it's 2 steps that we're going up, so we are dividing by 10 twice. Okay, so 7 centimeters, write down the original. Because I'm dividing by 10 twice, I need to put some zeros in front of it and move the decimal place from after the whole number, move it 2 spaces, so I end up with 0.07 meters. Very important to include your units with your final answer in all of these questions. If we look at question B, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit here. If we look at question B, we've got 2.5 meters and we're moving to millimeters. Notice that we have to go down 3 steps for that. Okay, so that means we're multiplying by 10 3 times, or multiplying by 1,000. So remember, when we multiply by 1,000, we move the decimal place right 3 spaces. So I'm going to throw some extra zeros in here and go 1, 2, 3. That's where the new decimal place will be. So my answer will be 2,500 millimeters. For question C, I'm converting 0.8 kilometers to centimeters. So I'm going from right up at the top of that staircase down quite far. So I'm taking that 0.8 and I will need to multiply, because I'm going down 5 steps. I'm multiplying by 100,000. So I'm moving that decimal place 5 times. So if I start with that 0.8, throw a bunch of zeros behind it, at least 5 just to be on the safe side, and move that decimal place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So I now have 80,000. Just need to scroll up here a little bit. Equals 80,000 centimeters. And again, don't forget to include the units with all of your questions. Notice that the weight, so with grams at the center, and liquid capacity or volume charts are exactly the same, because in the metric system, the prefixes, or the part that comes at the beginning of the words, are exactly the same. So the only piece different is that the weight ones have a G for grams in the middle, and the liquid capacity ones have L, a capital L for liter, in the center. But again, we have kilograms, kiloliters, and centigrams and centiliters are all part of the same system. Okay, so the prefixes are the same. So think about going up the staircase to divide, down the staircase to multiply, and you're moving the decimal place as many times as the number of steps that you're taking. So in step A, I'm going from milliliters to liters. So I'm going up 3 steps, up 3 steps. So I'm dividing by 1,000, or moving the decimal place 3 spaces. So 275 milliliters equals, and I'll just show it in red on this example. The decimal place is going from here. I need to move it 3 times so it ends up in front of the 2, so 0.275 liters. In question B, I've got 0.09 kilograms, and I want to go to milligrams. Well, from kilograms to milligrams, I'm going down 3 steps. So I'm going to move the decimal place 3 spaces. So I'll change to red again. So I'm moving the decimal place 1, 2, I'm going to need to add a 0 at the end to give me space to move it once more, 3 spaces. So I end up with 90 milligrams. Okay, so it's all a matter of deciding whether you need to multiply or divide, and the number of steps that you're moving, is the number of decimal places that you're moving the decimal. And that's it for doing conversions in the metric system.